The first time they put a collar around my neck, I thought it was only for trade. A marker, a tag, a way to show I had been sold. But I was wrong. The collar was ownership. And ownership meant I was no longer Selari, daughter of the Arivan people. I was nothing more than property. For years, I was passed from hand to hand, a bed companion for those who wanted the illusion of love without the burden of compassion. They called me by names that were not mine. They dressed me in silks meant to hide my shame behind glitter. They told me to smile, even when my soul ached. And I obeyed, because I had no choice. By the time I reached my fifth owner, I no longer dreamed of escape. My body lived, but my spirit had curled inward, a small flame barely alive. He was a wealthy trader on Corval Station. His house was filled with glass walls, sharp laughter, and the endless smell of perfumes. I was kept in a room without locks, because he knew I had nowhere to go. Where could a slave run? One night, at a party, he paraded me before guests as if I were fine jewelry. I stood at his side, silent, eyes lowered. The crowd laughed, drank, bargained over ships and routes. To them, I was an ornament, nothing more. But then a voice spoke, calm, steady, and different from the rest. "Why is she collared?" The room fell quiet. Heads turned. A man stood near the banquet table, tall and broad-shouldered, dressed not in silks, but in the simple uniform of a spacer. His hair was dark, his face worn from years under starlight. A human. My master smirked. "She's a Selari. Bed companions are always collared. Tradition." The human's eyes darkened. Tradition or slavery? The laughter that followed was sharp and uneasy. My master waved a hand. "Call it what you will. It is the way of things." The human studied me for a long moment. Our eyes met, and for the first time in years, I saw no hunger, no ownership, no contempt. Only sorrow. Later that night, after the party ended, my master was approached by the human in private. I heard only fragments through the thin walls of my chamber. "Name your price." "She's not for sale. Everyone is for the right number." 100,000 credits. I gasped softly. No one would pay that for a worn, faded slave. My worth had long since dwindled to scraps. And yet the next morning, the collar around my neck was gone. The human's name was Marcus Hale. He led me aboard his ship, the Aurora's Dawn. I sat in silence as the engines hummed beneath us, too numb to understand. Finally he spoke. "You're safe now. No one owns you anymore." I touched my bare throat, still feeling the ghost weight of the collar. "But I was bought. I am yours." Marcus shook his head firmly. "No. You belong to no one. Not to me. Not to anyone. You are free." The word felt foreign on my tongue. "Free?" He nodded. "Yes. Whatever you choose to do next, it's yours to decide." I could not stop the tears. At first, freedom was terrifying. For so long, my choices had been made for me. What to wear, when to eat, how to speak, whom to please. Now, aboard the Aurora's Dawn, Marcus asked me questions I did not know how to answer. "What do you like to eat? What name do you want to go by? Do you want to rest or work with a crew?" I flinched each time, waiting for punishment if I answered wrong. But punishment never came, only patience. When I admitted I did not remember what food I liked, he smiled gently. "Then we'll try different things and you'll find out." When I said my name felt broken, he said, "Then you can choose a new one or keep the old. Either way, it's yours." And when I hesitated to work, afraid of failing, he said, "Rest first. Healing is work, too." No one had ever spoken to me like that. Weeks passed. Slowly, I began to breathe again. I spent hours in the observation bay, watching the stars whirl past. The vastness of space no longer felt like a prison. It felt like possibility. One evening, Marcus joined me there. "Do you miss your people?" he asked softly. "Yes," I whispered. "But even if I found them, I could never return. I am tainted." He turned toward me, his eyes fierce. "Don't say that. What was done to you wasn't your choice. You carry no shame." The intensity of his words made me tremble. For years, shame had been my only companion. Could I truly set it down? Marcus seemed to read my struggle. He placed a hand gently on the console, not touching me, only near. "Listen to me. You are not broken. You survived. That makes you stronger than anyone who tried to use you." Something in me cracked open, and for the first time, I allowed myself to believe him. Months turned into a year. I worked with the crew, learning navigation, cooking meals, even repairing conduits. My hands grew sure again, not as instruments of obedience, but of purpose. The others treated me not as an outsider, but as family. I laughed again, awkwardly at first, then freely. I even sang once, an old Selari lullaby. Marcus listened quietly, a small smile on his lips. One night, after a long haul through the outer lanes, I found the courage to ask him, "Why did you save me? You could have walked away." He looked at me for a long time before answering. "My grandmother raised me," he said. "She was taken during the wars, sold like cargo. When she was freed, she never stopped carrying the scars. But she raised me to believe no one deserves chains. When I saw you, I saw her, and I knew I couldn't let it continue." I bowed my head, overcome. "You gave me back my life." "No," he said gently. "You took it back. I just opened the door." Years later, when people spoke of the Aurora's dawn, they told stories of its captain and his strange crew, humans, Selari, and others bound not by contracts or chains, but by choice. And they told of me, once a bed companion, now navigator, singer, survivor. Whenever I looked at the stars, I remembered the collar that once bound me, and the human who shattered it. They had sold me as property. For years, I was forced to serve. But one human ended my suffering and gave me back my freedom.